God bless you and welcome back to Heart Ministry Network and the Extraordinary People broadcast. I am your host, Brenda Divers, and today I have with me the beautiful, the illustrious author, Melissa Carr. And Melissa, please say good afternoon to our viewers.
Good afternoon, and thank you for that warm welcome, Brenda.
Absolutely. We have a great show in store today. Before we go further, we're going to talk about Melissa's book, but my first question is my favorite, and that is, what was your conversion experience and how you came to know the Lord? Can you share that with us?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So basically, honestly, I've always known God as, because of my upbringing, from my childhood. So I've always been in the church, as growing up as a kid. Through the years, I had the opportunity to develop my own, my personal experience. And then it grew stronger in probably around about 2019 when I was faced with adversity. I went through some struggles in my life, some things that I had never ever experienced before. So, and just to shed a little light on that, I basically was diagnosed with a disability, a medical issue that left me disabled. And with that, while I was disabled, I was out of work for about 4 months. And after working for 19 years with an employer, I was fired while out on that approved medical leave. And the reason
Wow.
primarily is because I wasn't able to get back to work in a timely manner. I wasn't getting well fast enough, basically. So, with that, with those
Mm,
two challenges, I knew only God could help me get through them. That was just the only way I could get through it. So I just leaned in a little more.
mm.
Mhm.
Amen. Yeah, yeah. He does show up. He does show
Oh,
up.
yes,
Let
he
us
does.
know that he has been there the whole time. Praise the Lord.
Yes, he is.
So tell us a little bit more about Melissa the woman.
Absolutely. So I am Melissa Carr. I'm a resident I've been a resident of Delaware for the majority of my life. About 20 so years of that has been here in Newcastle County. My
Mhm.
professional experience is extensive, about 20 plus years of customer experience and leadership. And through that customer experience and leadership, I am now a published author. Thank you. And so
Wonderful.
I've been a published author since December 20th. So my book is available now. And I love inspiring. You can find me anytime, inspiring, encouraging, and empowering other people. I mean, just, other people in general, because that's just my passion is just serving people. And then, in fact, with that, I'm actually in the middle of a program, Level Up for Success Mastery Program. And that's just to basically help me pivot into my next level of Melissa. And I love, in my personal me, I love, cooking. I love spending time with my mother and my best very friend, Lexi. And that's
Oh,
Melissa. That's Melissa. And my
that's
biggest, my
wonderful.
best very friend.
Oh,
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. So, it's nothing like having a full life.
Mhm.
And I love that you're saying you're growing, you're continuing to grow in
Yes.
your profession and in your life in general. So we should never stop learning, we should never stop reaching and all of that. So thank you for that. So today we're talking about your book, and I know
Mhm.
you're excited about it. We're excited about it also. Transforming trauma, and then you say how you can turn your pain into power. That's a
Yes.
really bold statement, right? And that's a statement most times that comes out of experience, right?
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about your book. Tell us about what God did in you to birth this book.
Yeah, and thank you. So a lot of things that you just said is spot on because, it happened around summer of 2019. God spoke to me. It was during the time I was going through my adversity moments. And when I was in that dark
Mhm.
place, and I would spend a lot of time just sitting out on my deck, just thinking, and processing things. And I hadn't been fired from the employer at that time, but I was,
Mhm.
at that time, I was just processing my health battle that I was going through and not even expecting to be fired. So I was just going through that, and he spoke to me clearly one of those days and just said that, you
Mhm.
need to share your story. You need to write a book. And I'm like, like I didn't have no idea of how that was going to happen, what it looked like, because I'll be honest, I'm not an avid reader and I've never had a passion to write a book. But what I did have a passion for
Mm,
is to serve and help people. So, and God knows that. So I think that was his way of getting me to help people in the way that he wanted me to help people. Because, a lot of
mhm,
times
mhm,
we have our plan, but it's not God's plan for our life. I thought when I was in that corporation that was my plan. That was my career. That was where I was going to retire. But that wasn't God's plan for my life.
mhm,
Right. So, yeah,
right.
so just with that, he let me know it was okay to share my story. I had to be, because I'm a very private person and I still am.
Yes.
However, I had to be vulnerable though in order to be able to help people. So I had to allow people to see me in a different light, because people look at Melissa and like, oh,
Mm,
she doesn't have any like thing going on, but life is happening for Melissa too. But Melissa had to be brave and bold to go out there and just share that
mm.
story. And that story in turn is to help other people.
Wow. You had to be brave and bold.
Yes,
And I get that being a private person. I know that because I am that way myself. And it seems like that's the area that we're always being pushed in,
that's
to
right.
open up, to allow people to see behind, whatever they're seeing,
That's
that,
right.
that we are vulnerable to a fault
That's right.
sometimes,
That's
you
right.
know. So yeah, so I applaud you for your bravery in that.
Thank
How
you.
to turn your pain into power. You talk a lot about, and we'll let you talk about this later about your toolbox. I'm excited about that because there's some
Okay.
things that you had to learn. There's some things that you had to learn and to use, frequently. So we have to have a tool that we can pick up when we need
That's
it
right.
to apply to whatever pressure, whatever the problem is. So I
That's
love that. And you're going to share some of those things. But are there any experiences through this process that you could share with us?
Absolutely. So, and when you say through the process, you're referring to the entire process or just the writing journey?
Well, it has everything has to do with something else, right? So
That's right.
the process had to do with your journey. So whatever
Okay.
in that course of time that you feel comfortable sharing will be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is very important, especially in the world that we are in today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've always been a very positive person, always bubbly, like still am, even through my pain, my physical pain, I
Mm.
still
Wow.
always was that bubbly person. So you didn't see that something was going on, or you look at me today and you don't think anything's going on with me. But I suffered in silence through those moments and still do to this day, because my
Mm.
purpose is bigger than my pain. So I continue to push through, so with that, I had to also seek counseling in the beginning back in 2019 during that summer, because I was just having so much anxiety around what was happening, what was happening to me. I didn't know what was going on. I felt something was going weird with the job, and I loved this job. I worked there for 19 years. I was a rising star. I was doing everything right. I didn't do anything wrong. I just became ill. So I'm like, what is going on here? So I had to seek counseling. And I say that to anyone out here today, don't be afraid. When we say counselor, mental health, that's just your emotional well-being. We all have emotions, whether you're male or female. So it's very important to
Mm.
care for those things. So go out there and seek counseling. And today it's very convenient because you can do it from the comfort of your home. You can sit in your car, and do all this virtually. And no one has to know what's going on if you don't want them to know, because it's no one else's business but
Right.
yours and your counselors. It's a safe place. And that's something in our community that we need to talk more about and encourage people and let them know that it's okay. It's okay, because we haven't always been taught that as young adults.
Mm.
It's in our community, it's that was a stigma
Yeah.
around that. That was a bad word. There's something
Yes.
wrong with you.
Yes.
No, there's nothing. Something's
Mm.
wrong with you when you don't take care of you, right? So that
Yes.
counseling, and I
Yes.
only need counseling just to get me through that place, that little place that I was in. Because after I got through that place, once I was fired, it was like a weight lifted off of me, because everything that I
Wow.
was building up and knew was happening, it was like it was lifted. Although I still needed to figure out, okay, well, now how am I going to live? But I knew God had
Mm-hmm.
that covered
Mm-hmm. Right.
because He told me He had that covered. So I dropped counseling at that point because I no longer needed it. But I encourage you, and that's an experience that I had, and that was something different for me because
Yeah.
I'd never done it before. I never
Mm.
felt that I needed to speak to anyone outside of my circle. So that there is a
Yeah.
to me very important.
I thank you for that, Melissa, because in our community, that has been that way for years. And
Yeah,
being afraid to even reach out, because if somebody found out that you were in counseling, then they're okay, we can't deal with her because she's got issues. We all have
yes,
issues to
that's
tell the
right.
truth.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and God uses people to help, right? He puts us
That's
on the
right.
earth to help, and He has
That is
trained counselors to help. So,
that is right.
thank you for your courage and
Yeah,
saying that, because we know it took courage to even make the step. It took courage to finish the process, and it took courage to speak on it. So
absolutely.
we know that if this is God's will for your life, He covers you on all of this. So thank you for having the bravery to say this is what I needed, and maybe you need it too. It's
That's right.
okay
That's,
if we
and it's
need to
okay.
talk to somebody. Absolutely,
That's right.
absolutely. So
That's right.
I thank you for giving us the courage to do that if that's necessary, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah,
like you said today, it's really easy to get that kind of support. It's very easy. You could do it via phone. You could do it, teleconference and all those types of things, because
that's
the
right.
tools are there, and
That's
the
right.
people are there to help. So
That's
so
right.
thank you for letting us know it's okay to get
Yeah,
that done, and it's imperative in a lot of cases to get that done to move forward in life. So
absolutely.
I'm excited about this book, Transforming, Trauma, and How to Turn Your Pain into Power. Do you have an example for us about turning our pain or your pain into power?
Absolutely. I have a plenty of them, but I'll give you one today. So, I tell you, when everything started happening to me, initially I wanted to be like really
Hmm.
private. I wanted to be
Yeah,
alone. Like I was keeping things away from like people. Like I didn't want anyone to know because with trauma
yeah.
comes all sorts of emotions. I don't care what your trauma is. There's
Hmm.
different
That's
anything that
true.
causes you pain, right? So I wanted to stay
Hmm.
private because I was going through those emotional things. You blame yourself. Like, why am I blaming myself? I
Yeah,
like I had made myself ill. I didn't make myself ill. That
yeah,
happened. Life
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And just so and then I was on trying to lose weight. So what I did was is I because I'm very active on Facebook, and I wanted to go away at that time because I just didn't because I was
Hmm.
very well known in the corporation, so it was like everyone's going to
Hmm.
know, and I started to go over private. So what I
Wow.
did was like
Hmm.
I created a private Facebook group, and again, this was God spoke to me. One of my friends can attest to this. Around midnight on
Hmm.
February 25th, it was midnight, February 25th of 2020. God spoke to me and told me that, you need to create a private Facebook group. This is what you do. So I created this private
Hmm.
Facebook group. And the reason I
Wow.
created the private group was to help me lose weight, when all along it was actually me building my toolkit to help me get through what I was going through. And my mother was my number one supporter, and she still is to this day. So her
Yes.
and I were doing
Hmm.
different things together, and it was all a part of this group. And I brought like 100 people along. It didn't matter if it was male or female, and didn't matter your
Hmm.
race. Anyone could join this group that I invited into this group. But I only wanted I wanted it
Okay.
intimate because I needed it an intimate
Hmm.
space,
Hmm.
and that's what I did, and that's
Right.
how I created my toolkit.
Wonderful, wonderful. And when you say God speaks to you, um, I attest to that. He does.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
he favors us with
that's right.
ideas and things that we need to move forward. So it's to the glory of God that all this is done anyway. So thank
Yeah.
thank the Lord for that. And this is exciting because I love to hear what God is doing, how he's moving on the lives of his people, and the things that he tells you secrets, that he doesn't tell
That's right.
anybody, and I think
That's
this
right.
is wonderful. It's
That's right.
wonderful that he does that
That's
for
right.
us. So how do we get your book? How do we get this wonderful book?
So glad that you would ask. And it's funny, I have one for you. It's right in front of me. It's waiting for
Ooh,
you.
I can't
I just
wait.
need your
Thank you.
yeah, I just need your address to get this to you. It's waiting
Okay.
for you. It's a very easy read, and I did that
Hmm.
intentionally because when you're trying to reach people,
Yeah.
you want to be able to meet people where they are, right? So you don't want to speak
Yes.
above people.
Yes.
You need to speak right on everyone's level, so that even children today need self help. They need mental health awareness.
Yes. So
In
true.
that area.
So true.
So we expose them to that. They can pick this book up and I'm certain read it. And if they can, let them read it.
Hmm.
However, it is the target audience was men and women because we all need self help.
Okay.
But you can purchase the book right now. My actual ebook, so my Kindle version is on Amazon for $4.99.
Hmm.
My
Wow.
paperback should hit Amazon by this coming Sunday. Today's well, yeah, so it's going to hit this coming Sunday on
Hmm.
Amazon, but the paperback is
Okay.
not there yet. It will be there, and it will be anywhere that books are sold online.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, and thank you for my book. I can't wait to get it and get into it. I've been reading some wonderful, wonderful books, and thank you for that.
Yes,
And
my
actually,
pleasure.
we're almost coming to the close of this went so quickly, Melissa.
It did.
But there is a question I can't wait for you to answer, and that is, how would you inspire women in business during this climate, with all this going on around us? How would you inspire us in business to keep going? Even in the midst of all of this, how would you inspire us today?
Yes, yes. I'm glad you asked me that question because I love, and like if you remember from earlier on, I love to inspire, encourage, and empower people. So with that being
Yeah.
said, I'm gonna, first and foremost, I want to start off with saying, and I have a couple tips that I'm going to give to you from my toolkit that I use in the book.
Okay.
But I want to start off by saying, be the best version of you because you are enough. Okay. So, and you're probably asking me,
Yes.
well, what does that mean, Melissa? How do I be the best version of me? What does that mean? I need help with that. Well, I'm glad you asked because,
Hmm.
and again, it's in my toolkit in my book, but I'll share with you today four of those tips. And first and foremost, owning your story. You have to own your story. Be brave, be
Hmm.
vulnerable enough to and own that and embrace your story. Because trust me, your story will inspire or help someone out there. There's someone that
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's someone that's going through a health struggle, someone's lost their job. I promise that's happened through the past
Hmm.
couple of years.
Hmm.
So your story can help that person move forward, right?
Yes.
And I know
Yes. Yes.
Brene Brown has a quote that I love, and it's owning our story and loving ourselves through the process. And that is
Hmm.
like one of the greatest things that you can do is owning your story and loving yourself through the process. Okay, that's number
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Number two, reinvent yourself. Do not be afraid to reinvent yourself. I know reinvent
That's
sounds
good.
like a big word, but all it means is to change yourself. So just be better tomorrow than you were today. So when you go into your next day, think about what you did the day before and just do something better to make yourself better than you were the day before. And you can,
Yes.
these
Yes.
are things that you can easily do. It's something small. It doesn't have to be big, just something small.
Hmm.
My third tip, my third tip, and here's the one we've been talking about throughout this interview. The third tip is be brave. Be brave.
Mm.
What being brave means, like, just do something that you would have never done. Come out of your comfort zone and do not allow fear to paralyze you because if you allow fear to paralyze you, you're going
Yes.
to stay stuck. You will not be able to move
Hmm.
forward. So just be brave and do something. For example, I did something last week. I just took a brave move. I was on LinkedIn and I was, going through LinkedIn and I saw this story that resonated with me. the
Mhm.
individual was a total stranger, but something resonated with me. And I reached out to that individual and sent a private message to that individual. And it in turn turned into
Mhm.
a collaboration, a networking experience. Well, what if I wasn't brave and I
Wow.
just would have lost that opportunity, you know? So be brave. And I just wanted, to give you some examples to, and show you that everything, like we say, comes from experience. So I'm speaking from
Yeah.
experience. I'm not
Yeah.
telling you anything out of my toolkit that I did not use or I'm not still using today. And the last one,
Mhm.
and here's a really big one, and a lot of times we find it hard to do. But take time to care for yourself.
How
Okay?
about
When I
that?
say take time to care for yourself, there's 168 hours in a day. I'm sorry, in a week, right? We
Mhm.
have to find at least 1 hour out of that each day to do something to care for you. Now, and that means when I say
Yeah.
care for you, I don't mean just going to get a massage or going away out of the country or eating some chocolate.
Mhm.
I mean taking care of that inside. Take care of that inside of you. And when you take care of your
Mhm.
inside, everything else on the outside will show that you're taking care of you because you'll start glowing. You'll have that glow. You'll have that energy, and people
Yeah.
will see it. You exude energy when you walk in a room. So it's about taking care of
Yeah.
you. And again, it's not selfish. So do it. Do it for you. And those are my 4 tips that I have from my toolkit to for anyone in
Mm.
business or anyone in any individual period.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so good. Wow, that was a mouthful. And thank you. We got to get the book. Just get the book. So you don't have to
Yes,
remember all the steps. Just get the book. And then you can go through them at your leisure. You can try those. I love that. If we do something, just a little something every day, at the
yes,
end of a month, the growth, the exponential growth that we have.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
love it. I love it. So thank you for giving us permission. Sometimes we need permission,
Yes,
to get going in those areas and to give ourselves a little time. There is
that's
nothing wrong with give yourself a little time.
that's
Love
right.
yourself enough to do that. So thank you for the permission to
Absolutely,
do so. So yeah, so guys, we got to go out and get this book, Transforming Trauma, how you can turn your pain into power. We see how Melissa did it. And I see, and certainly, Melissa, you're encouraging us to know that if you did that, then we can do it. We can do it as
that's right.
well, right? It was
That's right.
difficult. There was a difficult time, but you're here now. You're here. You
That's
worked
right.
through it. God gave you the tools, right? And now you're
That's right.
imparting it to us. So thank you. Thank you for your obedience. Thank you for your bravery, to
Yeah.
even go through this process and to explain it to us. So thank you again. This is, I'll tell you, the illustrious Melissa Carr. We expect to see you, all over, with this book and then the volumes to follow, because we know this is not the end. So thank you so much for being with us today. That's our time. We're beyond the time, but that's okay. We needed to hear. We needed to hear, from your heart and from your experiences. So thank you for not counting it robbery to spend this time with us today. Again, this is Melissa Carr. Go out and get the book. Go out and get the book. We'll have all our information on the screen. So if you forget it, just go on the screen and then search her out on Facebook, on LinkedIn, wherever her social media platform is. Just get involved, because she's a reacher. You can tell she will reach back. If you reach to her, she will reach back to you and share. So thank you, Melissa. Thank you for just allowing us to spend some time in your world, and we are enriched by it, right?
Okay. So one last thing I want to say. Just and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just show up every day. And when you show up each day, you want to show up as the best version of you, because that's what you want the world to see, the best version of you. Not like they say, not what's left of you, right? Excuse me. And I promise you, if
Mm.
you work on those things daily, you got to do this and be consistent. And it doesn't have to be let's say 1 hour, but if it's only 15 minutes that you have, okay, but give it to yourself. And remember, in doing so, God's plan is better than any plan that we could ever imagine. Trust me, take it from me. that's where I am here, where I am today, because of God's plan, not my plan. And that is in chapter 2 of my book as well.
That's our time. Yeah. So thank you again for joining us here on Heart Ministry Network and the Extraordinary People broadcast. It's featuring our new friend, our new girlfriend. I'm telling you, Melissa Carr. Amen. So thank you, Melissa, for spending time with us. And God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much for having me. You take care, okay?